2019, it was time to pass down the business. And daughter Janae and her business partner, Dustin Halverson, purchased All Weather. In preserving Tom and Ida's vision, customer service is still their number one priority. All Weather Heating and Cooling, because everyone calls us.
Here's your Newsradio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Daytime highs approaching 76 this afternoon under mainly clear skies, northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 55 tonight, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 71 tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Bright sunshine expected Friday with daytime highs approaching 72, 76 Saturday. Looking at the long range, 75 Sunday, 72 Monday, and 69 on Tuesday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 66.
There's Duran, and there's Duran Trot. I'm Jay Reynolds. American League rallying for a win last night at the All-Star Game, courtesy of Jarren Duran of the Red Sox.
He smacks one to right, and it is way out of here. Jarren Duran about 25 rows up, right center field, a two-run home run, and now the American League is on top, 5-3, a no-doubter that traveled 413 feet.
Duran into the home run trot in the fifth inning, and it would be the difference in the game. Duran named MVP, AL winning 5-3. The American League scoring the final 5 runs of the game after the National League had taken the lead on a 3-run shot from Shohei Ohtani, the first Dodger to homer in the All-Star Game since Mike Piazza in 1996. Paul Skeens pitched the first inning for the National League, and yes, he got to face Aaron Judge.
The at-bat only lasted one pitch, but what was it like facing Aaron Judge?
It was cool. Yeah, went right after him, and he kind of went right after me. He just missed that ball, but really cool. I know I'll get to face him again.
Judge swung at the first pitch, grounded to third for a fielder's choice. American League gets the 5-3 win. They've won 10 of the last 11. Commissioner Rob Manfred admitting that while he likes the generic league uniforms at the All-Star Game, MLB will have a conversation about the uniforms for next year. WNBA, the Liberty getting past the Connecticut Sun. Sabrina Ionescu with 30 points in the win. New York has won 21 of its 25 games. Jewel Lloyd with 30. Seattle beats the Sparks by 6. Asia Wilson had 28, but Las Vegas falls to the sky. Angel Reese, another double-double, her 17th this season. Mercury topping the Mystics. USA men's basketball back on the court today. They match up with Serbia at noon Eastern. Things will be a little different in the SEC. The conference says it does not intend to punish for the horns down gesture.
Nothing makes being outdoors better than having the right gear and the right crew. So here's an idea. Let Mountain Dew supply the gear and you bring the friends. Because when you buy specially marked multi-packs of Mountain Dew, you can collect points and earn epic limited edition outdoor gear. We're talking everything from custom Mountain Dew camp chairs and backpack coolers to exclusive Mountain Dew tents, fishing boats, and more. So buy Dew, collect points, get gear, and get outside with Mountain Dew outdoor gear.
Open to legal U.S. residents 18+. Subject to program terms at dewoutdoors.com. Ends 12/31/24. Void or prohibited.
A simple smile can light up a whole room. And for 25 years, Smile Train has been lighting up the world with smiles. As the world's largest cleft lip and palate charity, Smile Train has supported over 2 million life-changing surgeries in over 90 countries. Visit smiletrain.org/learn to learn how Smile Train is supporting the cleft community all over the world. Smile Train, lighting up the world with smiles for 25 years.
It's 12:19. Netflix back on top in the Emmys race after the nominations announced this morning. More from ABC's Jason Nathanson.
A leading 107 Emmy nominations for Netflix, led by shows including the final season of The Crown, Ripley, and the limited series Baby Reindeer.
I really don't know where it's going to end.
Which scored nominations for series creator Richard Gadd in the lead actor category. In second, FX with 93 nominations, the most in its history. And it had the 2 most nominated shows, the drama Shogun and the comedy The Bear. HBO and its streaming service Max, which had the most nominations last year, was third this year with 91.
NASA confirms a big boom over New York yesterday was a meteor flying 38,000 miles per hour. Problem is, nobody really saw it. They heard it. Bill Cooks with NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office says that meteors are very hard to see in the daylight when this boom happened.
And something, when it's moving that fast, of course, heats up and it begins to ablate, just like a spacecraft re-entering the atmosphere. and it produces a lot of light, and it generates what we call a fireball.
But you can't see it when the daylight is out. The space agency says that meteor passed over the Statue of Liberty before disintegrating above New Jersey yesterday. It's 12:20 now.
Newsradio KONP Business. This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The U.S. has floated tougher trade restrictions on chip sales to China, and that has led to a major tech sell-off today, led by chip makers. The Nasdaq is down close to 3%. The S&P is off 1 1/3%. The Dow up 0.5%. Pernod Ricard, that owns Absolute Vodka and Beefeater Gin, is rethinking its wine business and says it plans to sell 7 wineries in Australia, New Zealand, and Spain. With wine consumption down, the company says the sale to an Australian consortium will allow it to direct more resources to its premium spirits and champagne brands. Financial details were not disclosed. You'll soon be able to buy Eggo coffee. Food Dive says it'll be a collaboration with Two Rivers Coffee, and the product will be in stores mid-August. Eggo coffee will come in 5 waffle-like flavors, including maple syrup and cinnamon toast. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get a check on the roads next. Brought to you by Angela's Furniture and Leets Farm Supply.
Long live the lazy boy. No, not the one who lives in your house, the one you sit in. Right now at Angela's Furniture, come on in and test out your favorite lazy boy. You'll see the cushy, comfy Trooper rocker recliner on sale for just $7.99. Maybe you have a budget you need to stay within. The Vail rocker recliner for only $5.49 is a great choice. You'll also see some fantastic Stanton sofas on sale too. The beautiful Stanton Reputation linen sofa is just $14.99. These deals and more only at Angela's Furniture.
No matter what you are trying to keep in or what you're trying to keep out, Leets Farm Supply and Equipment Sales has fencing to get the job done right. Leets carries everything from barbed wire and no-climb fencing to field fences and gates with all the equipment you'll need to install. You'll even find fence chargers, electric rope, T-posts, and anything else you might need to get the job done. Leets Farm Supply and Equipment Sales is your local farm store and so much more. Located at 259110 Highway 101 in Sequim.
Newsradio KONP, Traffic and Roads.
Up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go now. That is where Steve's standing by with an eye on things this noon hour for us. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, we're not doing too awful bad out there. Traffic busy all the way through the Port Angeles and Sequim area, so be aware, a little slow going in places. Downtown Port Angeles, Front and Lincoln, that is going to slow you down a bit. But overall, they're doing pretty good. They're putting in the new traffic lights we were just talking. They have an officer directing traffic in the middle, and the guy is good. He is keeping traffic flowing pretty well. But if you could avoid the area, you would be much better off and probably get to where you're going much, much quicker. If you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Sequim, no real problems there. It is busy, but at the speed limit. Beyond that, Hood Canal Bridge, we do have a scheduled opening coming up here in about a half hour, 45 minutes. State ferries are running behind today. Not too far, about 20 minutes to a half hour, but just plan ahead and pay attention to their website before you head out. If you're headed out to the west end, 101 or 112, headed out to the Forks area, be careful out there. A lot of traffic right now, a lot of bigger rigs. Especially some of those hairpin turns, and you get the big flat boys and log trucks trying to get around that corner. It gets a little tight. Be careful out there and go slow. You should be in pretty good shape. So everybody take care. Be safe out there. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. We'll get an update from you again about a half hour from now. Do join us next hour on the Todd Ortloff Show. First half of the program, we're going to have the CEO from Olympic Medical Center, Daryl Wolf, joining us. We're going to be talking about the status of things at OMC. And also there is a levy increase that is before voters and ballots that are going out this week. We'll talk about what that means for Olympic Medical Center and the why behind it. That's next hour, first half of the show on the TO Show, next hour here on KONP.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
You know, just hearing the word stress can be kind of stressful. Probably conjures up a few people or things that make you feel stressed. But not all stress is a bad thing. In fact, stress can serve as a pretty powerful boost or motivator in the right situation. The healthiest kind of stress can come when you need it, and it goes away when you don't. Chronic or persistent stress is the kind that can take a negative toll on your physical and mental health. So it's important to find time for some trial and error, to figure out which ways of coping actually works for you and which don't. To start, you can try breathing exercises, mindful meditation, exercise. Of course, you can't change many of the stressors in your everyday life. What you can change is how you react. Sometimes it just takes a few deep breaths or a count to 10 before that reaction. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
When you've got real work to do, Metal Supermarkets will help you get it done fast. With a huge variety of metals in stock, we can help no matter what job comes your way. And we cut the size, because just like taxes and BS, we think metal is better when cut. Metal Supermarkets, the convenient stores for metal. Find a store or shop online at metalsupermarkets.com.
Life hack number 7. Get an iPhone 12 on Straight Talk.
Life hack.
Here's how it works. You walk into Walmart, go to the electronics section, ask for iPhone 12 with 5G and a dual camera system, and select a new Silver Unlimited plan. They'll smile because it's a good plan. You get real unlimited data all for just $20 a month for the whole first year. Get it at Walmart or StraightTalk.com. Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Taxes and fees apply. Requires activation of iPhone 12 and a new Silver Unlimited plan or higher end auto pay enrollment. $25 a month service credit applied for up to 12 months if eligibility requirements are met. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. Question: which of our U.S. president's face is on the $500 bill? Grab one up, and we'll take a look together after this important message.
If you've been hearing my radio programs now for the last 20 years, you know that I've been telling the true stories of those who have followed God's ways to make America the greatest nation in the world. So what's the latest? Well, we're now doing this nation-saving work full-time, and we need your help by becoming one of our ambassadors, subscribing to All We Have for just $5.95 per month. To get what? Number one, full access to our amazing website that is full of over 100 true stories to teach us with these stories how America is to act and operate. We also have lessons for all ages to teach us what we must do now, and our children, they will be our nation's leaders very soon. I will have live presentations online for you to hear, maybe even to participate. And when must this all get started? Now. Call our offices today at 817-995-6965 or go to our website at www.jerrystewartusa.com and email our office. God bless you.
Okay, so I kind of set you up, huh? You're probably not carrying a $500 bill. In fact, most Americans have never even seen a $500 bill. But here's the bigger question. Why do we even need a bill that big? You can hardly today even cash 100. But there really is a $500 bill. And the president's face on it? Our 25th president, William McKinley. And what is notable about President McKinley? Well, he was a Civil War veteran and the last veteran of that war to serve as president. Any other notable facts? Sadly, yes. He is one of our 4 U.S. presidents to be assassinated while in office. All brave Americans who died in the duty of our nation. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
For the Washington State News Network, I'm Danny Van Vliet. 28 federal recognized tribes in Washington State will receive money from the Climate Commitment Act. Governor Inslee announced $52 million will go to tribal climate projects. One of them will move 2 villages of the Quinaulti Indian Nation to higher ground. The Climate Commitment Act is funded by fees on businesses that burn fossil fuels. Seattle police have arrested a woman linked to a July 5th shooting at Showbox nightclub. Around 10:20 p.m., officers responded to reports of gunfire following an altercation among several women. One woman, who had been assaulted, fired a shot into the ceiling, causing panic. She was later found and arrested nearby. Authorities have recovered the firearm and continue to investigate. And the use and possession of exotic and wild animals will be banned in eastern Wenatchee after a 4-2 vote by the city council to enact the restriction Tuesday night. The new ordinance is mainly aimed to traveling circuses, which have been accused of abusing and mistreating the animals. City council member Robert Tidd says,
"We have to draw the line somewhere. Wenatchee's drawn the line. I think that we should also follow suit."
Wenatchee passed a similar ban in April after complaints by a local animal rights group and some citizens. citizens. The ordinance in both cities also prohibit residents from having exotic and wild animals. For more, download our free WSN mobile app or WashingtonStateNews.net.
If you're a contractor, it's now easier for you to do business with the Department of Labor and Industries. Go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line and make an appointment with us ahead of time. No waiting around, no wasted time away from your job site. You get in, get out, and get on your way. Easy. So contractors, just go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line to make an appointment and get back to doing what you do best.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance is the headliner tonight at the Republican National Convention. His speech comes on day 3 of the convention, which is focused on foreign policy and national security. Former President Trump will be the headliner on Thursday night, accepting the party's nomination for president. A new poll shows Democrats are unhappy with Joe Biden at the top of their ticket. White House correspondent Greg Cluxton.
While Republicans rally around Donald Trump here at the GOP convention, nearly 2/3 of Democrats say President Biden should withdraw from the presidential race and let his party nominate someone else. Those are the findings of a new AP NORC poll. For the past 3 weeks, the president has been working to salvage his re-election campaign after a dismal debate. And these poll results contradict Mr. Biden's claim that average Democrats are still with him, even if some big names want him to step aside. Greg Clugston, Milwaukee.
Representative Adam Schiff of California is the latest Democrat to call for Biden to bow out. Also at townhall.com, investigations mount into the attempted assassination of former President Trump as the gunman's motive remains elusive.
Gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks was about 400 feet from former President Trump when he was able to shoot at him, piercing his ear and killing one rally attendee. Video shot by DJ Larry captures the minutes before it happens, with people informing police of the gunman. Mike DeFricia also shot video.
My wife ran over and started telling policemen that, hey, there's a guy on the roof and he's got a gun.
Several investigations into the security breakdown underway. I'm Julie Walker.
The stocks remain mixed. The Dow ahead 217 points, but the NASDAQ is losing 488. More at townhall.com.
Government debt is now exploding by an unprecedented $1 trillion every 90 days. Think of that. It's a clear sign that our nation's finances are spinning out of control, and it's putting the savings of every one of you at risk. Hello, I'm Lance Wallnow, a news analyst and best-selling author and an evangelical leader. I'm deeply concerned about the impact this runaway debt is going to have on Christians like you who have worked hard to build your own nest egg for your family. To protect your financial future in these uncertain times, you need to diversify with something tangible and proven, like physical gold. That's why I recommend a gold IRA. To learn more, text FAITH to the number 989898, and my friends at Birch Gold Group will rush you a free info kit on how to move your IRA or 401k to physical precious metals, tax and penalty free. So don't wait. Just text the word FAITH to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold Group is the only company I trust. There's no obligation. So text FAITH to 989898, and I pray this information helps you achieve prosperity and peace of mind.
The mayor of Paris has gone for a swim in the River Seine to display confidence that the water is clean enough for the upcoming Olympic Games.
It's a very special day for Paris and a huge relief for the Olympics organisers, who until a couple of weeks ago were being told that levels of bacteria in the Seine were too high to allow competitors into the river. With perfect timing, the weather has improved. It was heavy rainfall that was part of the problem, and this morning the mayor, Anne Hidalgo, was able to fulfil her promise to bathe in the river and show the world that it's safe. A few journalists were able to take to the water too, and I can attest that it was fine. Almost exactly 100 years since swimming in the Seine was banned, it's coming back.
BBC correspondent Hugh Schofield in Paris. Authorities in Paraguay have announced the largest cocaine seizure in that country's history. Officials found more than 4 tons of the drug. It was stashed inside a shipment of sugar bound for Belgium. Breaking news at townhall.com. Elon Musk says goodbye to California.
The billionaire says he's moving the headquarters of SpaceX and social media company X to Texas from California. Musk posted on X Tuesday that he plans on moving SpaceX from Hawthorne, California to Starbase, Texas. X will move to Austin from San Francisco. He called a new law signed Monday by California Governor Gavin Newsom that bars school districts from requiring staff to notify parents of their child's gender identification change the final straw. Keith Peters reporting.
A mega den of rattlesnakes at a remote location in northern Colorado is available for live viewing online. California Polytechnic State University scientists recently put up a webcam and what they say is one of the largest rattlesnake dens they've ever seen. The den home to as many as 2,000 rattlesnakes. More of these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Wednesday, July 17th. Today, the day that Clallam County Superior Court Judge Lauren Erickson is expected to decide whether a Squim man's charges have sufficient merit to proceed with an attempt to recall 4 Port Angeles City Council members. John Worthington contends that Mayor Kate Dexter, along with council members Lindsay Schroman Warren, Latricia Suggs, and Navarra Carr, are not qualified to hold local office because joining the organization ICLEI creates a conflict of interest to their oaths of office to the U.S. Constitution, the state constitution, and the city of Port Angeles. The organization describes itself as a global network of local and regional governments committed to sustainable urban development. Now, in June, Clallam County Prosecutor Mark Nichols told KONP that he fulfilled his duties in the case by officially filing a synopsis of Worthington's claims with the court, and it will now be up to a judge to determine if the charges satisfy the conditions for which a recall petition could be filed. Yesterday, Worthington sent us a copy of a letter he received from the attorney representing the 4 council members, offering Worthington one last chance to dismiss the petitions and avoid potentially paying tens of thousands of dollars in court fees if the council members prevail in court. The attorney believes Worthington's petitions are invalid because he's not a registered voter in Port Angeles. Worthington's response to the attorney was in part, quote, "I will not drop the recall petitions, and I will go all the way to the Supreme Court standing on my head." Democrat Bob Ferguson leads Republican Dave Reichert by 9 points now in the race for governor. That with a new poll out statewide this week. The WA poll indicates Ferguson and Reichert are well ahead in a crowded field for governor and are likely to face off in November's general election. Among 564 likely voters surveyed, 42% support Ferguson, 33% Reichert, about 14% are undecided. Republican Simi Bird has 7% support, while State Senator Mark Millett, a Democrat, trails with 4%. Only 3 respondents chose another candidate. Clallam County PUD requiring water utility customers on 3 separate systems to start water conservation measures immediately. Out in the West End, folks in the Island View water system are in a Stage 3 response. Customers there are to limit outdoor water use to Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and no vehicle washing is allowed. Meanwhile, Stage 2 drought response alerts have been issued for the Fairview and Clallam Bay CQ water systems. The objective of the Stage 2 drought response is to encourage customers to voluntarily conserve by reducing outdoor water use, taking shorter showers and not baths, collecting all water that is wasted while waiting for hot water to reach your faucet, and then using that for watering houseplants or outdoor plants. Those are just a few tips. You can learn more at epa.gov/watersense. In other news, access in and out of the downtown Port Angeles Safeway and its parking lot was closed off by police for a time Monday afternoon when a man hopped into the back of an ambulance and then claimed to have a gun. Deputy Police Chief Jason Vieta told KONP that first responders from PA Fire and Olympic Ambulance were at a call at Safeway for a medical incident when a man who appeared to be suffering from a combination of drug abuse and mental health issues climbed into an ambulance uninvited and refused to leave. The man said he was homicidal and suicidal. The medics requested law enforcement response, and soon after, a trained negotiator arrived and spoke at length with the suspects. Other officers on scene worked to keep people inside the store and in the parking lot away from the incident. Vieira said that during negotiations, a suspect gave a detailed description of his handgun and made the statement, quote, "I'm going to kill you or you're going to kill me," and then reached into his waistband. After about 20 minutes of negotiations, 54-year-old Daryl Healer surrendered to officers. He was taken to Olympic Medical Center for clearance and then booked into the jail for harassment, obstructing, and vehicle prowl. No gun was found. The prosecutor is still reviewing the case for possible formal charges. Federal transportation officials last week awarding $1.5 billion toward a replacement for the I-5 bridge across the Columbia River. The grant could put the project within reach of its expected price tag if bridge crossings are told to cover the remaining cost. Oregon and Washington have pledged $1 billion in state funds. The new bridge connecting Portland and Vancouver is expected to cost as much as $7.5 billion to build. That price includes miles of freeway work north and south of the bridge itself. One of two existing spans on the existing bridge was built in 1917. The second was added in 1958. Both are vulnerable to collapse in an earthquake, and the drawbridge for passing river traffic frequently jams up I-5. Proposals to toll the crossing to pay for its construction have drawn opposition, and Coast Guard officials say the span is too low to accommodate river traffic, an issue that remains unresolved. 2 workers fell from a bridge on Interstate 5 in Snohomish County last night, with one plunging into the water below. The accident happened about 7 p.m. near milepost 198 on the border of Everett and Marysville as the workers were in a bucket truck under the bridge. The platform tipped, sending one worker 60 feet down into Steamboat Slough, according to the Everett Fire Department. The worker swam to shore and was taken to a hospital for assessment. A second worker climbed out of the bucket and got to land safely and was not injured. A second Washington state man has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of damaging power substations in Oregon back in 2022. 33-year-old Zach Rosenthal of Tacoma appeared in federal court in Portland facing 3 counts of damaging an energy facility. He's accused of causing over $100,000 in damage to the Ulstrander substation in Oregon City and $5,000 damage to the Sunnyside substation in Clackamas, Oregon. Rosenthal also faces charges for stealing firearms in January 2023 and illegal possession as a felon. He pleaded not guilty to those charges and was detained. Damaging an energy facility causing over $100,000 in damage can result in up to a 20-year federal prison term. And a 41-year-old man was airlifted for injuries he suffered after a cannon he loaded exploded in Port Orchard. According to eyewitness reports to the Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies, the man loaded gunpowder and a paperweight into a cannon and then lit the gunpowder. The explosion reportedly blew off one of the victim's hands. According to deputies, the cannon was a replica and it was not designed to be fired. The man was airlifted to Harborview Medical Center with those injuries. This is Newsradio KONP.
Hello. This is Amanda Huff with Swim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called natural organic reduction, or simply terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you'd like more information about terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Swim Valley Chapel in Swim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Swim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
I'm speaking with PUD Commissioner Phyllis Bernard. Phyllis, what is the essential role of the PUD here in Clallam County?
Thank you for that question. The Public Utility District of Clallam County, the PUD, makes sure that electric power and clean water created with public resources will always be there for you and your family, now and in the future. I serve on the commission to help make sure that happens.
Paid for by the committee to elect Phyllis Bernard.
It's time to cheer the hero, boo the villain, and sigh for our damsel in distress. At Olympic Theater Arts' Lavender melodrama, Lavender Dreams. Brought to you by the Old Barn Lavender Company, This hysterical comedy filled with music and mayhem tells a dramatic story of lavender in Sequim. In it, sigh for the damsel.
You are all the sweetest of sweets.
Cheer for our hero.
I'll save you.
And boo the villain.
I'll stop their lavender dreams by any means necessary.
As we laugh, sing, and interact with Olympic Theater Arts Lavender Melodrama. Running Thursday through Sundays, July 5th through 21st. Brought to you by the Old Barn Lavender Company in Sequim.
Out of the weather forecast, could be partly sunny the rest of the afternoon today. Mid-70s, maybe 80 away from the water today. Going to see northwest winds to 20 miles per hour this afternoon. Mostly clear by tonight. Lows will be in the 50s with west winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. And then cloudy to start the day Thursday, becoming sunny through the day. Highs will be in the low to mid-70s. Look for Thursday night to be mostly clear. Lows in the low to mid-50s. West winds at about 20 miles per hour Thursday night. Friday, sunshine, mid-70s. Friday night, mostly clear. Lows in the mid to upper 50s. Sunny at about 80 for Saturday. Clear Saturday night, lows in the mid to upper 50s. And then sunny and highs mid-70s to low 80s on Sunday. Clear Sunday night, lows will be in the low to mid-50s, and then back to work Monday with sunshine, highs in the 70s. Tuesday next week, sunny and highs in the low to mid-70s as well. Currently, a lot of sunshine mixed with some cloudy spots across the peninsula. In the east end, it's 67 in Port Townsend. Out west at Forks, they're checking in at 65. 77 now in Sequim. 58 along the waterfront in downtown Port Angeles. And out at Fairchild Airport, they're checking in at 70 degrees.
Hi, I'm Bill Benedict. I served as Clallam County Sheriff with Randy Johnson as District 2 County Commissioner for 8 years. He is an exceptionally talented community leader who puts the welfare of his constituents first. Randy's solid business and administrative background has brought great benefit to the county, and his fiscal restraint has helped keep the county debt-free. Clallam County needs the proven leadership, accountability, and political independence of Randy Johnson to continue as District 2 County Commissioner. Please join me in re-electing Randy Johnson.
Paid for by the committee to elect Randy Johnson for County Commissioner.
Hi, I'm Kevin Vanderweg, your state senator and now a candidate for State Lands Commissioner. As a 25-year firefighter and chair of the Senate Natural Resources Committee, I know how destructive wildfires and wildfire smoke are to rural communities. I'm ready to lead the fight for better prevention and faster, more effective responses. We can't let wildfire get further out of control. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Paid for by Kevin Vanderweg for State Lands Commissioner, Democrat.
Got an event? Make it special with live classic hits from Black Diamond Junction. The band voted best on the peninsula the past 7 years in a row.
We hired BDJ for our anniversary party. Their classic hits were so good and kept all generations of our guests dancing.
What a great band and the best entertainers. We had them for an event and won't hesitate to bring them back again. No question.
BDJ made our annual family and friends party the best ever. So professional and great to work with.
Get more info at blackdiamondjunction.com or Black Diamond Junction on Facebook and Instagram.
Traveling, volunteering, spending time with family. What's your retirement look like? With income planning from Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor can help you grow and protect your wealth. They'll look at your full financial picture and help you create a flexible strategy that considers things like market conditions and healthcare expenses, so you can stop worrying about the future and enjoy whatever comes next. Visit fidelity.com/income planning. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
A lot can happen between falling in love with a house online and owning it, between imagining living there and breathing in your new home for the first time. Having an advocate who can help you navigate the complex world of financing, inspections, negotiating, analyzing the market, and talking through any anxieties that may pop up, that can make all the difference. That's what the expertise of a Realtor can do for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and bound by a code of ethics, because that's who we are.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made
make Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-682-9928. 800-682-9928. 800-682-9928.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's 10 minutes in front of 1 o'clock now.
Newsradio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Just minutes to go ahead of Wall Street's closing bell, and we're on track for another record closing high for the Dow. But there was a big sell-off in tech stocks today, sending the NASDAQ and the S&P sharply lower. Right now, the Dow up 0.6%, but the NASDAQ down 2.5%, and the S&P 1.25% lower. That's after the White House today threatened tougher trade penalties for countries allowing tech firms to sell advanced AI technology to China. That sent shares of chip makers like Qualcomm, AMD, and NVIDIA down as much as 9%. Shares of the low-cost carrier Spirit Airlines down 11%. It reported revenue for last quarter would be lower than previously expected. A lot of cash-strapped flyers refused to pay all those add-on fees. And the struggling furniture chain Conn's plans to shut down 20% of its stores around 115 states from Florida to Arizona, liquidating their inventory as it prepares to file for bankruptcy as soon as next week. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get a last look at the traffic conditions out there this noon hour next. Brought to you by Olympic Medical Center and the Blind Store by McCrory.
Dr. Sam Skovgard here, General Surgeon at Olympic Medical Center. If you've noticed a bulge beneath your skin, on your abdomen or groin, it could be a hernia. And if it's causing you pain, it's time to talk to your doctor. If your hernia requires surgery, your general surgery team at OMC is here to help. Talk to your primary care provider if you think you may need treatment for a hernia. Let's keep you healthy and hernia-free together. Learn more at olympicmedical.org/hernia.
Ever looked at your window coverings and thought, ugh, might I suggest new window treatments from the Blind Store in Sequim? I know. It doesn't sound like it would make that much of a difference, but do me a favor. Take a good look at what you have now. See the dust, the age, that one janky cord that doesn't actually open or close anymore? Well, McCrory's Blind Store in Sequim can make that better. With more options than you knew existed, the Blind Store will pair you with the perfect window coverings, all at 20% off. The Blind Store by McCrory, next to the licensing depot in Sequim.
Newsradio KONP, traffic and roads.
Right up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go. One last time this noon hour. That's where Steve's standing by with the check of the roads for us. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, busy day out there if you're out driving around right now, especially in Port Angeles, downtown Port Angeles. Front and Lincoln, where they're doing the traffic signal work. They do have a traffic officer in the middle of the road controlling traffic through that intersection. It is causing some backups, not because they're not doing their job, but because there's just so many people right now trying to make their way through. That construction is starting to make its way up to First and Lincoln as well. Good idea if you can avoid the area. That would probably be your best bet, kind of thin things out and let them get their work done safely. If you're out on the highway between Port Angeles and Sequim 101, we're in good shape. It is busy out there for sure, but traffic is moving along at the speed limit. If you're headed beyond that right now, Hood Canal Bridge currently is good to go with no scheduled marine openings this afternoon. Washington State ferries are running about 15-20 minutes behind on average, so you definitely want to check the Washington State website if you're looking to catch a ferry across the water. If you're headed out to the west end right now, it is busy out on 112. That's our detour with 101 being closed at the Owa River. Be careful out there. Still a lot of traffic out there right now. A lot of big rigs coming through there and some really tight corners. It gets pretty narrow as they try to make their way through there. So just slow it down and be very careful out there. So everybody, enjoy your afternoon and be safe. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. Again, a reminder, next hour, first segment of the TO show, we're going to have the CEO of Olympic Medical Center joining us. We talk about their Levy Lid Lift Ask that's going before voters. Ballots going out this week, in fact. Well, today is National Tattoo Day, and, well, let's laugh a bit about it with Brian Regan about getting a tat.
Thinking of getting a tattoo? But I want to get a tattoo that's unique, you know? I don't want a tattoo like everybody else. So I want to get a tattoo of a blender. A big one on my chest, you know? Then when I go to the public pool, take my shirt off, everyone will be spellbound. They'd be like, is that a blender? Born to frappe. I have unusual tattoo ideas. I think someone should get a tattoo of a dozen Easter eggs, but tell the tattoo artist to hide them. You get back in shape, you might find a golden egg.
This story should get your attention because it's only a matter of time before some group will try to pull this off in America. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Attention business owners, get a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program at netsuite.com/Kim. 10 days ago, a requirement for all cars in the European Union countries went into effect. It's an AI device that controls your car's engine. It's called Intelligent Speed Assistance, or ISA. It uses GPS data and your car's onboard cameras to read street signs and compute your speed in real time as you drive. This data is instantly sent to the government and placed in your driving record, of course. But even more, ISA's artificial intelligence will intervene, first to illuminate a warning message on your car's dash. If you ignore it, ISA goes the next step, literally pushes your accelerator back towards your foot. If you push back, ISA takes control and slows the car. It's just like having a government bureaucrat right in your front seat. Get my free newsletter at getkim.com. Okay, quick math. The less your business spends on operations, on multiple systems, on delivering your product or service, the more money you keep. It's obvious. But with higher expenses on materials, employees, distribution, and borrowing, everything costs more. So to reduce costs and headaches, small businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one platform. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite lives in the cloud with no hardware required. Access from anywhere. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one unified business management suite. And you're improving efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. So do the math. See how you'll profit with NetSuite. NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. Head to netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
We know sleep is good for us, but it may also help with our fitness and exercise goals. I'll tell you more after this.
Summer is heating up, just like the deals at Omaha Steaks. From perfectly aged steaks to juicy burgers, Omaha Steaks is your summer grilling headquarters. Shop the Hotter Than Fire sale at omahasteaks.com for exclusive, unconditional money-back guaranteed packages starting at $99. Plus, get an extra $10 off with promo code QUALITY at checkout. Visit omahasteaks.com, code QUALITY for an extra $10 off. Shop the Hotter Than Fire sale today before these deals go up in smoke.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
The importance of sleep for our overall health cannot be overstated. And now, research from the American Heart Association is looking at sleep and its relation to fitness. Researchers looked at about 125 people who were overweight or obese and followed them for a year. They found that people who got better sleep were more likely to be engaged and consistent with a fitness regimen. Sleep is often misunderstood as a luxury when it is truly a medical necessity. Insufficient sleep is linked to everything from an increased risk of heart disease, weight gain, cognitive problems, mood disorders, and much more. Make sleep a priority. I promise if you do, your health will improve. With Your Body, I'm ABC's Dr. Jen Ashton.
With temperatures sizzling, there's relief today from Olympic Hearth and Spa. Don't delay. Get cool today with a new heat pump that can be installed in one day.
Hello, Clallam County. I'm Pat Ryder with Olympic Hearth and Spa. It's not too late to get cooling relief before the height of summer. Our ductless and ducted heat pumps are game changers and the most efficient way to heat and cool your home. Affordable, energy efficient, year-round comfort. Call us today for install this week.
Olympic Hearth and Spa and Swim will match or beat other prices. Call the one-stop cooling shop, Olympic Hearth and Spa, 360-582-6193. That's 360-582-6193. Dive into summer with Olympic Hearth and Spa. Upgrade your outdoor space with a hot tub or invest in your health with a swim spa. Olympic Hearth and Spa and Swim, your one-stop shop for sales, service, and installation. Visit OlympicHearthandSpa.com.
The North Peninsula's news. The North Peninsula's talk. News Radio KONP, Port Angeles, Squim. A Radio Pacific
From
station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Milwaukee, on the eve of his acceptance speech as the Republican nominee for president, Donald Trump arriving for a walkthrough of the Republican National Convention Hall. Trump's new running mate will address the crowd tonight.
J.D. Vance will get his formal introduction to the RNC this evening, but attendees at a GOP fundraiser here in Milwaukee got a sneak peek.
We're going to get out there and try to fire up the crowd tonight and make the case, a very easy case to make, but an important case to make, that we have got to re-elect President Donald J. Trump to the White House.
Among the other speakers, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, who was also in line to be Donald Trump's running mate. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Milwaukee.
The Democratic National Convention now just weeks away, but divisions remain over calls for President Biden to step down as the party's nominee. Congressman Adam Schiff, the latest to call for President Biden to drop out. The president today campaigning in Las Vegas. He'll highlight new immigration initiatives. Vice President Kamala Harris in Michigan campaigning too, and for the first time speaking out about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Vice President Kamala Harris, in her first campaign event since the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, called the shooting
a heinous, horrible, and cowardly act.
She said political violence is never acceptable.
Our heart goes out to the family of Corey Comparator, a true hero who died protecting his family. And Doug and I, of course, are holding them close in our hearts.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Homeland Security's Inspector General has formally opened a probe into the Secret Service's handling of security at the rally. Special Counsel Jack Smith has filed his official notice of appeal of Judge Eileen Cannon's order dismissing Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. The judge ruled Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. The Special Counsel's office has no further comment. You're listening to ABC News.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
An investigation is underway in Pennsylvania after 2 armed suspects robbed a Brinks armored truck in Chester. Officials say the crime took place only 100 yards away from the headquarters of the Chester Police Department. Police say the 2 men got away with hundreds of thousands of dollars. The driver not injured. A Stegosaurus fossil dating back 150 million years sold at Sotheby's in New York for a record-breaking $44.6 million. The fossil, named Apex, is the most valuable fossil ever sold at auction. Some disappointed tourists in Greece. It's so hot there, the government has closed the Acropolis for several hours in the middle of the day.
In Athens, the biggest cultural attraction is closed from noon to 5 p.m. For these American tourists,
a little upset that we can't go up and see the Acropolis on the only day we're here.
I wish that they didn't, because we're here to go up there, but I also understand that they may know more than I do.
The extreme weather's affecting much of the country. Southern Europe swelters in a heat wave that's sending temperatures spiraling. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
The first-generation Apple desktop computer created by Steve Jobs is up for sale at Christie's. That computer is from the collection of Paul Allen, Microsoft's co-founder. Apple One estimated to sell anywhere between $500,000 and $800,000. A live auction takes place in September in New York. I'm Michelle Franzen.
Losing a loved one is overwhelming. Your mind and your heart shut down. That's where Drennan & Ford Funeral Home and Crematory comes in. They took the burden off my family's shoulders and guided us through everything we needed to do. No pushy sales tactics or unanswered questions. They just held our hands and took care of everything we asked. That's why I will always recommend Drennan & Ford for end-of-life decisions. They handle the hurt like no one else can. Call 360-457-1210.
Hi, I'm Morgan Grawl-Worthington. I'm a local educator and the head coach for the Port Angeles High School fast pitch softball team. I've known Randy Johnson since the age of 10 when he coached my Little League team. Randy has always been a big supporter of the youth in our community through his leadership in 4-H, the YMCA, and juvenile services. Just as he has supported our kids, I am proud to support Randy for re-election as Clallam County Commissioner, District 2.
Paid for by the committee to elect Randy Johnson for County Commissioner.
KONP News brought to you by Remax Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. 457-6600. If the election were held today, who would be the next governor of Washington? It appears it would be Democrat Bob Ferguson. Ferguson leads Republican Dave Reichert by 9 points in the race for governor, according to a new WA poll out this week. It indicates that Ferguson and Reichert are well ahead in a crowded field. They are likely to face off in November's general election. Among 564 likely voters surveyed, 42% support Ferguson, 33% back Reichert, about 14% are undecided. Republican Semi Bird has 7% support, while Democrat State Senator Mark Millett trails with 4%.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Daytime highs approaching 76 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Northwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight. Lows dip down to about 55. Tomorrow, 71. Daytime highs approaching 72. Friday, under sunny skies. 76 Saturday. A peek at the extended shows. 75 Sunday, 72 Monday, and 69 on Tuesday. Once again, a high of 76 today. Lows level off around 55 tonight. We should top out at 71 tomorrow. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 60 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, welcome once again to the program. Today, I'm going to spend a good chunk of it, at least the first half today, talking with Daryl Wolf. He is the CEO at Olympic Medical Center, and certainly there's been a lot of headlines. We've been talking with Daryl a number of times in the last few months about just kind of the issues that are surrounding Olympic Medical Center in general, but also we will find out it's a lot of places, the medical industry, if you will. It's hospitals in general that are facing a lot of the same issues. And the other reason we have Daryl here is that you voters in the hospital district, which is everybody in the sound of my voice, basically, will have a chance to vote on ballots going out this week for a levy lid lift that is going before voters as well. And we'll have Daryl explain a bit about what that's all about. So, Daryl, it's great to have you back. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We've been trying to get you in regularly to kind of get people updated as to what's going on. And you just noted something. Maybe it's a good jumping off point. You did a presentation for the PA City Council last night, and you said, you ran into people that were surprised that, Olympic Medical Center is having financial issues right now.
Yeah.
And you are. I mean, and we've been talking about this over the last year or so, too. So let's just start there. Let's talk about kind of status of OMC right now in that vein.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think, we've tried really, really hard to, we are a public entity. We're a public hospital district. My bosses are 7 publicly elected folks from across the district, which runs from Lake Crescent to the Jefferson County line. And we've, and despite our efforts, there's people that, they're not here. They may not know. And that's okay. But I do think it's worth mentioning, we've been, feel like we've been trying to be as transparent as possible for the last couple of years. Coming out of the pandemic, the world looks very different for us, and maybe we'll get into that later. But just, we have had public forums, our board meetings. We've been very upfront with our board about, here's the situation, here are the economics that we're looking at, here's some statistical evidence as to why things are the way they are, and the P&L, if you will, and all of that stuff. So we try to be really open with folks, and I know I've been here a couple of times talking about this, and so we have really tried to be open and honest about this, so that this isn't hopefully a big surprise to people as we talk about ways to improve OMC's financial position. So we have tried hard to do that, and obviously we haven't hit everybody, but I think the effort's been there, and I hope people understand that and aren't shocked by this.
Now, there's some good news in this as well, as I followed a bit of it. I mean, your deficit, if you will, is not nearly this year what it was even last year. So you're moving in the right direction. A lot of that has to do with some pretty large cuts and things that you've done over the past year. Well, so get us up to speed as to where things were a year ago. We talked it was looking one way now as we're here in 2024.
Yeah, no, good. I think the alarm bell started going off in late 2022. The federal funding that we had received through the pandemic really dried up. And again, as we came out of the pandemic, the workforce was very different. The reliance on contract labor, where historically we've been very fortunate to have a lot of permanent folks, but temporary labor has become a bigger piece of the workforce and healthcare, especially in our state. That I can speak to that the best, but. So it's been, we've seen it. We saw our cash position change in ways we didn't like. We saw our economics, our monthly income change in ways we didn't like. So really we have been on a lot of, pursuing a lot of different avenues in terms of operational improvements. We as I mentioned about contract labor, beginning of 2023, we had as many as 80 folks, that's 80, across the organization, not just RNs. I mean, these are physical therapists in some cases. These are lab technologists. These are across the organization. And really, how do we recruit better? I mean, how do we reduce that number, which we've cut more to less than half of what it once was, because contract labor is not a really cost-effective way to run an organization. Sometimes it's what you got to do to keep services open, which to date is what we've done. We haven't had any mass layoffs. We haven't taken salary, had cut people's salaries or any of those things. We've really tried to keep everything whole. But temp labor is part of how we've done that. And to date we've been able to keep it all going. But the financial realities are very serious, but we've done a lot of work on the ground to mitigate a lot of that. And we've through just attrition, we're about 100 FTEs less than we were about a year ago. We were about 1,650 employees. We're down around 1,550. So and again, that wasn't a strategic layoff. It was more a matter of going to departments, and if someone were to leave, we'd say, hey, can we make this work for a while without that person? And so it's been things like that. But we are about 100 FTEs less than we were a year ago. So just to the financial realities.
Is that sustainable, though, in your mind? I mean, to continue to provide services, eventually that gets affected.
Right. Absolutely. And I was speaking to a group, and I've talked to many of them last year. Someone says, well, if the levy passes, will we get some of those people back? And the answer is, yeah, sure, we will. But I think it's we've had to really tighten our belts to the best we can, but we've done it in a way to again, maintain all services. But it's a delicate balance, and it is probably not sustainable for the long term.
You probably get this question. You go back to talking about kind of through the pandemic, there was federal funding, there was extra dollars, if you will, that came in that helped to fund a lot of things that were happening.
Yeah.
People may say, well, why didn't you, how did you not see that was going to go away, and get into the point is, and that's a question that I think I quite fairly can ask you, and I could probably ask about anybody in healthcare, because they were it all hit everybody, it seems like, the same way, and maybe at different degrees, but.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And the answer really is it's hard to describe. It's like I've told many folks, we closed for 0 seconds during the pandemic. We did not have an option. Whatever whatever resources that we could obtain, whether again RNs or what have you, to keep everything opening. We did that, and the market moved in ways, that were crazy. And so I wouldn't say we were spending willy-nilly, but we were spending more than we had in the past for labor, and I guess we were in crisis mode, and it was really difficult, and we were, again, it's hard to relive it, but it's hard to, there's we were on call, I drove my own car to everything for 2.5 years because I was going to get called.
Yeah.
And that was the way most of my leadership team was. And so we were on pins and needles. And so through that process, we were just kind of moving from one crisis to the next. And so it wasn't that we weren't looking at our economics, but the economics were actually pretty good. The money was flowing pretty well. We were making some money. But again, as that wound down and those dollars started to go away, the new reality of
Right.
cost of labor and supplies and everything else, and the fact that reimbursement really didn't change without those dollars, kind of brought us to a tough situation.
And is it fair to say that helped supplement the fact that we are woefully underfunded for Medicare and Medicaid? When you take those and your pay group percentage is way off the charts compared to most places that are getting that. So you're getting 60 cents in some cases on the dollar for what you should be getting $1 for, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I think, 85% of the revenue that comes to Olympic Medical Center comes from some type of government payment mechanism, be it Medicare, Medicaid, and some of the other smaller government payers like the TRICARE program, for example. And they all pay less than our costs. And I say that carefully because people say, well, cut your costs. Well, we're trying to compete with a marketplace that is moving very rapidly, and the cost for a physician, an RN, I don't get to pick those. I have to compete for those, and there's a lot of entities that are paid better than us, and good for them. I'm jealous, but that's the environment, and so. It's a tough place, but yeah, Medicare, generally speaking, for every dollar OMC spends to take care, we get about 80 cents.
80 cents, okay. Yeah.
And on the Medicaid side, there's been some real advancements with Medicaid that we're starting to see the results of in 2024, which was more that 60% of cost number. It's going to get higher now, or it's going to go up, I should say, this year, and that will really help us to the tune of probably $10 or $12 million this year, which is awesome. But still less than cost.
Before we get to then we're going to get into it a little bit about what a public hospital really means and some of that in just a moment. But I have to ask about the size of your hospital is detrimental in some ways. I ask you this every time, but in some ways you're better off to be the size of a Forks Hospital or Port Townsend, Jefferson, than the size you are here in Port Angeles. But you can't really do that because you have a population size that needs to be served.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And yeah, there's a designation out there that's called critical access hospitals, and they provide critical access to rural areas. But you have to be less than 25 beds. And again, as you point out, Forks is in that designation, as is Jefferson Healthcare, and there's actually 40 of them in our state, or 39. But
you can't do that. You couldn't have a 25-bed hospital. You could, but what would happen if you went to that?
Good. Two things on that. One is that would require legislative change. That's not allowed right now.
Okay.
That would require legislative work at the federal level. But secondly, I can tell you in the last 10 days, OMC's had a census in the 50s nearly every day, right? So I wouldn't want to have been patient 26 through 50. Right. And if the I-5 corridor hospitals had tons of capacity, but that's not the case. The ability for us to transfer is diminished because they have capacity problems as well. Even the big 300-400 bed hospitals that you might have, pick one in the I-5 corridor, they often don't have a bed for us to send to. So for us to shrink is detrimental for sure.
You've been around. This organization in the healthcare network, if you will, for a long time. This is really unique in this sense because I can recall a time when there wasn't necessarily a struggle if you had to get transferred into it, a Seattle area I-5 corridor hospital, something bad had happened and get in. Right now, I mean, people need to realize that it's not just a given that you can get there, and you may need to get there.
Yeah, and that's really hard, because that's a lot of what it does is it really backs up the whole system, and I know that a lot of folks in the community, they going to our ER, they have to wait, and I feel bad about that, but sometimes the challenge is really upstream several places, right? Yeah. If you have, like I said, I got a call last week from our house supervisor, and early in the morning, we had one bed available, one bed. And we had several people waiting in the ED to be transferred, and so you create this sort of situation where, so the ability to transfer, like you said, is just it. And I don't know all the economics behind Swedish and VM and these others, but they're at capacity often. And every morning we have a safety huddle, and nearly every day there are hospitals on divert across our state that they're saturated.
Yeah, and am I right though into saying that wasn't always the case?
No, it seems like it's gotten a lot worse in the last several years, and I know I can tell you from a workforce perspective, everyone's dealing with what we're dealing with, and there's just there's a statistic, recently that there were 6,000 open nursing positions in our state.
I believe it. I mean, you're dealing with it, and just do that times all the other hospitals across the state right now. What is fueling that? Is it just career change? Is it people just burned out? I know the pandemic did a number on a lot of people in healthcare. They said, that's it. I'm not doing this rodeo again, basically. And that was, I've decided I'm going to retire. I know a lot of folks, a lot of my friends who may have had another 5-10 years in them said, I'm done. I'm going to just retire now.
I think it's multifaceted. I've talked with my teams a lot about this, and there's the other thing is the temporary labor pool has grown. That is very lucrative for many. Yeah. And I've heard that there's a lot of folks that want to go into nursing schools, but a lot of the faculty have gone back to the bedside, gone into, because it's
they become a traveling nurse, for example, right? Yeah.
And I've also heard that the nursing shortage we're experiencing now, we forecasted a long time ago.
Yeah.
It just, I think the pandemic exacerbated or sped up that timeline, and it's coming with physicians as well. Mm-hmm. We need to train more. So, it's I think, to your point, I think people. I think a lot of people reevaluated a lot of things in that pandemic era, and like you said, people said, this is more than I want to deal with, and God bless them for the work they did while they were here, but I don't fault them.
I can get it, and that was a tough time to be in that. In those.
So trenches. The shortages are. I think it's multifaceted, and I think everyone has a story. But in general, I think it's just and we're all competing for a resource.
And that's my next question: is how do you compete to get those folks? Because you still need to get them here. So and as you alluded to, it's a little bit of a we have advantages. It's a great place to live. People love to be out here. We have disadvantages. Where are you going to buy a house? Can you afford a house? And then the almighty dollar. You can get people. You're having to go against other facilities that, quite frankly, can throw some more dollars at somebody, right?
Yeah. I know you're exactly right. And what we're really trying to focus on is this place. You get to live in this place, and work with these people, and live in this community. And I think those are all very attractive things. But getting that word out, it takes time, and we're not the richest place. And unfortunately, I've got some of my good friends are in the professions, and they're spending a ton of money getting trained. They get out, they have student loans, and money matters. Mm-hmm. And so moving to a rural area isn't always best when they can maybe go somewhere else, and the money's a little bit better. But we're really trying to figure out, how do we sell this place and this culture and this organization, and we're getting some traction with that. But we're trying to find the right people, and we can't bribe them. We're not the richest, so really trying to show, like, we've got some videos that our teams have created. They're really great. We got one of our providers who I know, he's out riding his mountain bike on the trail. You're trying to show, like, this is a great place to be. Because we do have to pay competitively. We're not underpaying people, because we have to be competitive in the marketplace, and the free market is fully at play. But at the same time, you got to make this the right place for people, and we're trying to figure out how to showcase it.
The farther you get away from the pandemic, do you find it's getting easier to get people recruited? Because we're kind of getting that into the back, and maybe you have a new, I don't want to call it the new breed of folks that are in, but perhaps they're far enough removed now that they're ready to get back in.
I don't have stats around that, but it feels like it. And I think the other thing that seems to be happening is the temp labor, which I mentioned many times here, the contract labor. The rates have come down a lot. That whole market's softening, and I think it's a little less lucrative than it once was, and I'm hoping that with that comes people that want to plant roots and actually be in one spot. But it does feel like it's getting easier, and if anything, I think OMC won out in many cases because people came here and were like, this is a cool place, and they signed on as permanents. We've got a few stories like that.
Yeah, I've heard of that as well. So. Yeah. All right, Darrell Wolf's my guest. He's the CEO at Olympic Medical Center. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a public hospital, because that also sets up what the voters are being asked for. And when they get their ballots here in the next few days, we'll talk about that when we come back right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Hello, I'm Commissioner Steve Burke for another Port of PA Today. I'm here with CEO Dave Walter from CRTC, the Composite Recycling Technology Center. Dave, could you give us an overview?
The Composite Recycling Technology Center takes composites like carbon fiber, and we convert those into products that we manufacture here in Port Angeles. Things like portable pickleball nets, orthotics, park benches, hydrofoils for surfboards, and the like.
I hear you've started a partnership with Makah Tribe.
Yes, sir. We built a sawmill for the Makah Tribe out in Mia Bay to be able to take the beautiful timber that they grow on their land, and we'll take that lumber and run that through our facility here in Port Angeles to be able to make it into a cross-laminated timber wall panel for homeless housing, backyard ADUs, emergency shelters, and the like. And it's a great way to be able to take that beautiful wood and make it into housing.
This has been your Port of PA Today. Explore portofpa.com.
Homeowners, are you tired of climbing the ladder year after year to clean your gutters? Then come see Leaf Guard at the Lavender Festival this weekend in Sequim. Leaf Guard is a maintenance-free gutter, the only patented one-piece seamless gutter system. With Leaf Guard, get a clog-free guarantee and lifetime transferable warranty. Get it today, protect it for life. Don't miss the exclusive Leaf Guard special for you at the Sequim Lavender Festival. Leaf Guard, get it today, protect it for life.
Rising costs for necessities in healthcare? What's a working family do? I am Nate Tyler, a candidate for the 24th District. My roots run deep. I am the only candidate born and raised here. I am running for the State House. I served in the Marine Corps, own a small business, and served 12 years on the Makah Tribal Council. In Olympia, I will fight to lower costs, access mental and behavioral health services, and quality affordable childcare for our working families. I ask for your vote in August. Paid for by Vote Nate Tyler, Democrat.
Darrell Wolf is the CEO at Olympic Medical Center. He's my guest here for the next couple segments as we talk about what's going on with the OMC and then get into some specific news of the day, which is a ballot that's going to show up for most of you that has an ask from Olympic Medical Center for a levy lid lift. Before we get to that, though, Darrell, real quick, let's explain what a public hospital and a district is.
Yeah.
You alluded to it as well. It's a kind of a different animal in this day and age, but
Yeah, no, it is unique, and OMC was founded in 1951 or 52, excuse me, when they actually opened, right? And so what the public hospital districts, not every state has these. I think there's 16 states that do, and they were created initially to put facilities where there's gaps in care, more or less. And so, but the part of the deal is they'd be locally governed. So, like I mentioned, we have a board of 7 that represent the district, and but there's also some funding, right? And so there's been a tax levy in place on property owners in the district since that time, and it's been raised a couple of times. But the idea is to create places where, one, you take everybody. We don't turn anybody away. You can pay, you can't pay, you got Medicare, you got Medicaid, whatever. We will take care of you. That is our mission, and that is our job as a public entity and a public hospital district. So, we don't select. We take all comers, and so part of being public and kind of having that additional revenue stream from a levy is to help meet that mission, and that's kind of why it was created. Locally governed and locally kind of operated and controlled was the mission, right. And with that came some funding locally.
So that's what we're getting to next. Let's talk about this ask. It's been a bit since you've gone to voters, but here you are on this primary ballot. Yeah. You're asking for an increase in the levy.
Yeah. So what I'm not here to advocate. I'm here to educate. And so, we talked a little bit about in this segment about kind of the economic challenges that we've faced. And what I'm proud to say is to date, we haven't taken really radical measures. We've been able to maintain services. But it's come at a cost. I mean, we have had significant losses the last couple of years. And so 2008 there was a levy initiative. Kind of before my time. I was at OMC but not involved. And it's been 16 years. And so, given the situation, we would like to. We decided, the board decided, and we decided to run an initiative. And what we're asking for is an increase in that levy lift. There's a statutory limit to that of 75 cents, which is what we're asking for. We can't go higher than that. And it requires a 50% plus one vote, and we're just trying to educate the community on what it is. What we really want the message that we're really pushing is as I said in the beginning, we're 24/7, 365. We don't, that's what we do, and really we want to, make sure we're viable to continue to do that. We also we've done over the years, as I think many know, as independent practices for provider practices or physician practices, especially as the economic challenges became more and more real, a lot of our providers joined the hospital, and but keeping all those specialties local was the mission. We want to continue that mission. We want to keep as much as we can here locally. And then our workforce. Without our workforce, we're a bunch of empty buildings, right? So we have to continue to invest in our workforce, and that requires the funding to keep up with the market. And lastly, this really isn't just about the here and now. This is about the next CEO, the next board. What options could this give us for the future? Because this is a multi-pronged thing. This isn't just doing the levy and nothing else. We mentioned some of the operational challenges. We're doing a lot of work at the federal level, so this is one part of it. But the levy is a big piece of that, and we think that this is the right time, and and we think the public are in favor of maintaining what we have here, and I think it's a big economic driver. It has huge implications. I mean, my kids were born at OMC. My wife was born at OMC. I would recommend anyone I know to any of our surgeons. So,
there you go. What happens if it doesn't? I mean, you're going to continue to function. Yeah. Obviously, it's not that the hospital goes away, but what does that mean? In that picture.
So I mean that's a good question, but a hard question, and I think what we're doing now is not sustainable. We're eroding our reserves, maintaining what we're doing, despite a lot of great work, and there's really two options. I mean, as I've mentioned, there's been really no service disruption to this point. we'd have to rethink that. I mean, we can't keep doing everything we're doing and continue to sustain losses. And the other option is, and I hate both of these options, but the other one is we have some sort of more meaningful partnership locally where we can figure out how to meet, kind of cover these gaps that we're going to have to create. And so, OMC is we're independent, and we've long remained our independence by having partnerships with, Providence, with Swedish, Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, later Fred Hutch, et cetera. And so partnerships can take on a lot of different forms, but we would have to explore, is there a way others can help us continue to keep the services going that we rely on? Because everything that we've done, and again, I've been there 18 years, I've been in leadership for 10, and I can tell you when we sit at the table and we talk about a service or anything or any type of analysis, it's not do the economics work, it's do we need it? Does the community need it? Is there a demand from the community for the service? And is it, obviously there's things we don't do. We're never going to do open heart surgery. We're never going to have brain surgeons. So we're not crazy about it, but we really, everything we've done is to meet the needs of the community to the best of our abilities relative to our size, and we really want to continue to do that as long as we can.
And I know that's a frustrating level because there are some things right now you would love to be able to provide. It's been tough to do though in the climate that we have. It has, I think it goes back to a lot of what we talked about in the first segment. Right. But there's still some holes of some very much needed services that OMC I think in the past has been able to provide and is now struggling to do so now.
Yeah, and right now we've been able to kind of, as I would say, keep the wheels on pretty well. But we wanted to grow the inpatient unit. I was touring the hospital with someone earlier today from that I've worked with in DC and showing her around, right? And we wanted to go to 80 beds, right? Like I said, we had one bed left. Yeah, we had one bed left, last week, and we're really busy. The ER, we went 36 hours. We had never had less than 25 patients. We have 20 beds.
Wow.
And as we rethink what healthcare looks like now, it's we'd like to figure out ways to add some capacity here and there, but today we haven't really had to shrink. But I think there's opportunities for us to do new things. And with specialists, is there specialists out there that we can rotate through? And part of the partnerships that we've had in the past was to help us do those things, but they're up against their own constraints.
And I was just going to say that when you start talking about partnerships, it's not maybe as easy as what it sounds like because they too have their own financial issues. We talked about capacity in the I-5 corridor, for example.
No, we love Swedish. We've had a long history of working with Swedish in Seattle. When that started, a long time ago, cardiology was something we really wanted to build up, but it's just something they have their own limitations, and so. They try to help and they do provide some service, but it's everyone's kind of in the same situation in terms of, and the economics are challenging for even the big hospitals. I think you've probably heard me say or others is 85% of the hospitals in the state of Washington lost money in 2023. This isn't just an OMC thing. This is really just a systemic way that we're funded that we have to try to address, and so.
All right. Well, we'll be talking again with you either way after this levy ask happens on the primary ballot. But Daryl, I do appreciate you having it coming and taking some time talking to our listeners, kind of status of things and the reasons why and what that is that's on the ballot when people take a look at it.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks. That's Daryl Wolf. He's the CEO at OMC. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Hi, my name's Adam Birnbaum, and I'm running for state representative in the 24th Legislative District. Too many people in our community are struggling. We need less ideological extremism and more bipartisanship. My campaign is about working with everyone to build affordable housing, create well-paying jobs, and improve our healthcare system. Our district deserves a candidate who will focus on common-sense solutions to the most important issues in our community. Learn more at electadambirnbaum.com.
Paid for by Elect Adam Birnbaum, Democrat.
Hi, my name's Randy Johnson, and I'm running for re-election as your Clallam County Commissioner. I've been honored to serve you for the past 7+ years. As your County Commissioner, I've worked hard for the citizens of Clallam County on many issues. I will continue to address issues such as affordable housing, childcare, veterans affairs, economic development, and conserving our farmland. I ask for your vote as Clallam County Commissioner, District 2.
Paid for by the committee to elect Randy Johnson for County Commissioner.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
In this next segment, a fascinating story, a true story of someone who survived NXIVM, the cult. She escaped. She became a whistleblower and helped take down NXIVM and get its leader into a, well, more than life sentence, basically. We talk with Sarah Edmondson. She is out with a new book called Scarred. She's also a podcaster. She's a former actress as well. Sarah, let's talk first about how you got into NXIVM. Tell us about the process. What happened to you that got you started in the first place?
Sure. Thanks, Todd. It happened at a time in my life that now, in retrospect, I understand I was at a crossroads. I was a semi-working actress, also waitress, living in a basement suite, very cliche. And I was also not really feeling like my career was where I thought it should be. So I was definitely on a seeking path for something more meaningful. I was also looking for community. And I happened to, it's kind of a long story, but I ended up going to a film festival with my boyfriend at the time. And I met a filmmaker who had made a documentary that I really liked called What the Bleep Do We Know? And long story short, I connected with him and his girlfriend, and the four of us all got along. And basically he said, well, if you like my film, then you'll probably like this course I just took. And that wasn't that unusual for me. My parents are both in the mental health field. They're both counselors and therapists, and I've done a lot of workshops and trainings and seminars my whole life. So that was just another one. I never ever would consider it would be a dangerous one. And truthfully, it wasn't for many years. It was really wonderful until it wasn't.
And that was the next question I had for you. Is, this starts out pretty innocuous. I mean, this is a self-help group. I mean, this is something that I think most of us at the face of it would have done what you just did. At what point did it become culty to you? I mean, when did you start to figure out that this was turning into what it was?
It's funny because that's why we named our podcast that we have now a little bit culty, our name, because there was lots of things that were culty at the beginning. I just didn't see it. Knowing what I know now, there were many, many, many red flags. But this was in an age, this is the mid-2000s, before recently what we call the golden age of cult awareness, where there's so many documentaries and podcasts and memoirs about everything from Scientology to Osho to yoga cults and everything in between. But this is a time when my version of a cult that was in my head was white robes and goat's blood and maybe shaved heads and chanting. And of course, there was none of that. There were other things, of course, that we know now. And I'm not sure if you've seen The Vow, which was the documentary that covered our journey on HBO. But when you see that, it's quite obvious what those culty red flags are. But at the time, I thought they were weird. For sure, I didn't like them. But the leadership at the time was also very strategic in setting the stage for us to see something weird, and then for them to have us believe that was just a sign that there was something for us to work on. In other words, they said to us at the beginning, you're going to feel uncomfortable, and that's normal because we're here to grow. And that's true, Todd. If you've ever done any therapy of any kind, it can be challenging. not all easy. So anytime I felt uncomfortable with something like, there's sashes, or we're bowing to a leader and we're going to call this guy named Keith Vanguard. Like, those are all things now I go, that's super culty. That's a huge red flag. I will tell people if they're in a group where they're being asked to do things they don't feel comfortable doing, and if they express their discomfort, they're told it's their issue. That's called gaslighting. Like, those are things that are textbook cult, but I didn't have that education. So I just felt uncomfortable, and I thought it was my issue.
Do you believe that NXIVM really kind of drove towards a certain person? I mean, they're more attracted to this than maybe somebody else, looking back?
I think that it hit a number of different types of people. Ultimately, Keith and the leadership were looking for wealthy people to use their money to extort value there. He was also looking for a certain type of woman, which I didn't know at the time. But I think, cults prey on everybody. It really depends on what the person's looking for at the time, and can the cult show the person that they have the thing that they want. And that's what we call a situational vulnerability. I was at a crossroads at a different time in my life. Had Mark invited me, and if I was feeling fulfilled, I probably would have passed. But I wasn't feeling fulfilled. A lot of people join because they think they're going to get something that they're looking for. And cults dangle that carrot and promise them, we call it the illusion of hope. And they think they're going to get something, whether it's salvation or success or the weight loss or money or love, true love. There's a bunch of cults right now that are based around finding your soulmate.
Yeah.
So those things are dangled. It really depends on, I think ultimately the type of person has to be idealistic. They have to believe and trust. So anyone who's like super skeptical and not trusting may not join, but I'm a trusting person. I still am. I've had to learn to trust again for sure. But, cults spare no one. Let's put it that way.
Your book is called Scarred. And on the cover, here you are showing this scar that happened to you. I mean, you're literally branded in that. How did that come to be? Describe how it eventually got to that.
Well, that's a hard thing to describe in a short interview for the radio, which is one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because a lot of things happened. I always tell people that, if I had done my first 5-day training at the Holiday Inn where I did it in Burnaby, Vancouver, and they said, well, in 12 years from now, you're going to have the leader's initials seared into your flesh with a cauterizing iron and no anesthetic as a commitment, and I would have run the other way. Absolutely. But in those 12 years, there was so much indoctrination and so many beliefs instilled in us that, and this is where I take responsibility, I accepted over the years. But there was a lot of things that also happened where I was essentially blackmailed into saying yes to that. I was also tricked. I was told I was getting a tattoo. It ended up being a brand. I also didn't know that it was a symbol for his initials, which is actually what snapped me out of, hate to use the term, but drinking the Kool-Aid. That's what woke me up. Not the branding itself, but finding out that they'd lied to me and his initials were in my body, on my body in a cryptic monogram. That's what woke me up.
And that was my next question. At what point? And then describe how you got to the point of being fully into getting fully out and then, becoming basically a whistleblower on this.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really aware of it until I got out, that I had been sort of pulling away for the last 3 years of my 12 years there. I had a child. I was finding fulfillment in my family versus the group. And I think that's why they had invited me to the inner sanctum of DOS, which is where the secret sorority was, where they're giving these tattoos that were actually brands. But I think that, I had been, even though I was very committed to the company and I was running my satellite center in Vancouver, I was in many ways still doing my own thing. And there were a lot of problems with the organization. This is what I called it before I called it a cult. And I think when I realized what was actually going on behind closed doors and realized the severity of what had happened to me, it snapped me back to my previous, what they call, there's a cult identity and your authentic identity. And I snapped back to that very quickly. And then I was enraged because I had brought a lot of people into this self-help group thinking it was good for them and finding out that many of the women not only had been branded, but had been brought into his Keith Raniere's inner circle for basically sex slavery and were at his beck and call at all hours of the night and were there for him and to be part of his harem. that was such a betrayal for me. We had been told, and I know it's so naive to think this looking back, but we had been told that he was celibate. He was so enlightened he didn't need sex. And so it just became my mission to take it down. I mean, I've been an advocate for him. I've been one of the top salespeople proudly for the organization for many years. It was only the right thing to do to go to the other side and destroy what I built.
How difficult was that for you, and how did you go about that?
It was incredibly difficult. Not only was I dealing with, I had a toddler at the time, and dealing with trying to figure out my marriage, because my husband and I, we met in NXIVM, and now I had another man's initials on my body, and the PTSD of the betrayal and recognizing not only did I vouch for this guy, but I was like part of a terrible, terrible program that was, and realizing that I was part of a cult and part of the system. It was horrific. There was so much shame. This is 7 years ago now, so I'm not in the same place, but at the time it was very hard. But we had to basically reach everybody, specifically people that we brought in. That was the first step, is letting them know what had happened without them reporting back to the leadership that we were defectors. So there was a couple of weeks there where we were kind of double agents, where NXIVM didn't know that we were leaving, and we were basically telling people the truth, because everything up until then had been siloed and secret. So we had to get the information out without getting in trouble ourselves and without getting sued, which of course they did try to do. Claire Bronfman tried to arrest me, and on basically false trumped up charges, because I hadn't done anything wrong, except for try to tell everybody that we were in a cult, and that was wrong for her. But the police eventually saw that for what it was. But it was a very, very stressful time. I mean, the first thing that I did even before telling anybody was go to the FBI in upstate New York. And they didn't really understand what they were looking at. And I imagined that they were going to do a raid and stop the next round of branding, which I knew was about to occur, and it still did occur. So when they didn't act, we went to the press, went to the media, and got the New York Times to run a story, and which they eventually did, and that sparked the actual investigation in upstate New York. Different district in New York, not the original. I went to the Northern District, and then the Eastern District took over, and acted very quickly. X-ray Keith from Mexico, where he was hiding like a coward, brought him into New York. There was a trial, a 6-week trial, 4-hour deliberation, and then a 120-year life sentence and 5 years probation.
Were you satisfied when that happened?
Oh my God. It was the most vindicated that I've ever felt in my life, but also, I mean, horrifically sad too. Like, what we thought we were all building and part of was such a beautiful thing. Had it been true, it would have been a really special community. I mean, it still was, but it's just, it got ruined by this one sociopathic, narcissistic, sex addicted D-bag.
But now we fast forward, and you are taking it upon yourself to let people know about cults. I mean, we've already sort of inferred to some of these things and the red flags and how I guess they're very hidden. Most of us still, I think of, robes and strange rooms and all of that sort of thing as being a cult, but there's so many things that are a cult that are popping up around here. So you've made it a mission, I guess, to try to help us learn from what you went through.
It does feel like that in a way, and ironically, that's sort of one of the reasons why I joined NXIVM, is I thought that I was helping people. My parents are both, like I said, both therapists, and this was, for me, a way to do that. And I think that was actually what my purpose was to destroy NXIVM, and now I feel like my mission is to educate people so they don't have to go through what I went through, because my lesson was I lost my 30s. I spent my entire 30s there, and I just wondered what my life would be like if I hadn't, and what I could have built if I'd been on the right track. But here I am. I love my life. I love doing a podcast with my husband, and it's very rewarding. Like, people write to us all the time about how our story helped them realize that they were part of something, and it doesn't even have to be a cult. It's just unhealthy, unhealthy dynamic where people are taking advantage of you or extorting value in some way. And for the people to realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and they can get out and rebuild their lives is, it feels like this is what I was meant to be doing in the end.
Do you feel like, though, in the world that we're in now with all this technology, all this easy access to each other, that it makes, slipping into even a cult of personality, if you will, a lot easier or maybe more dangerous, a little slipperier slope than it could have been even back when you joined NXIVM?
Yes, definitely. In fact, we've learned of a lot of people. We had an episode that dropped this week, actually, about a cult that was formed all online in Discord channels around NFTs and Bitcoin. And that, the leader slid into the DMs and started flirting, and then the rest is history. A lot of people actually get indoctrinated into different belief systems just by the algorithm on YouTube showing different channels that can bring people down some very dark paths. At the same time, there's, like I said earlier, there's this whole concept of the golden age of cult awareness. People are much more cult informed, just like they're trauma informed in a way that they weren't even 5 years ago. So we don't really have the numbers yet on which side is winning. Is the information outweighing the ability to connect? We don't know yet, but I'd say it's still an ongoing battle.
You're an actress. How did all of this affect your career?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't know what jobs I didn't get because of it, but I will say I did have some wonderful opportunities because of the cult journey. I was able to play a cult leader, sort of the Nancy Salzman character in a series called Salvation on CBS a few years ago, which was so fun. I've consulted on a number of projects. Right now I'm actually taking a break. I moved to the U.S. and I'm focusing on producing the podcast, and my husband and I are actually writing a second book, memoir. Scarred was a memoir. This book will be more of a summary of everything we've learned since the podcast, a resource manual for those who are curious or in the same situation.
Perfect. I'll get you and your husband on next time when that comes out, all right?
Fabulous. I would love to talk about it.
We should point out, too, you had the scar removed, correct?
Yes, I do have the scar removed. A number of years ago, I had plastic surgery. I tried to, do other treatments, but eventually it was very thin and light, but I could still see KR when I looked in the mirror, and I didn't want that, understandably. But yeah, actually, a donor reached out to my lawyer, and I don't even know who did it. Some anonymous person paid for my scar to be removed.
Oh. All right. Well, I encourage people to pick up Scarred. Sarah Edmondson, it's the true story of how she escaped NXIVM. Sarah, look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely. We'll keep in touch. Thanks, Todd.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
Hi, I'm Bill Benedict. I served as Clallam County Sheriff with Randy Johnson as District 2 County Commissioner for 8 years. He is an exceptionally talented community leader who puts the welfare of his constituents first. Randy's solid business and administrative background has brought great benefit to the county, and his fiscal restraint has helped keep the county debt-free. Clallam County needs the proven leadership, accountability, and political independence of Randy Johnson to continue as District 2 County Commissioner. Please join me in re-electing Randy Johnson.
Paid for by the committee to elect Randy Johnson for County Commissioner.
Hi, I'm Kevin Vanderweg, your state senator and now a candidate for State Lands Commissioner. As a 25-year firefighter and chair of the Senate Natural Resources Committee, I know how destructive wildfires and wildfire smoke are to rural communities. I'm ready to lead the fight for better prevention and faster, more effective responses. We can't let wildfire get further out of control. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Paid for by Kevin Vanderweg for State Lands Commissioner, Democrat.
Fair weather turns our thoughts to outdoor projects. Hi, this is Clallam PUD, and we want you to be safe so you can enjoy the results of your hard work. It's easy. Call 811 2 business days before any work involving digging so underground utilities can be properly located and marked. Visit ClallamPUD.net for more safety tips about outdoor projects and more. Clallam County PUD, bringing energy to life.
Have you been searching and searching for anyone to install, repair, or replace your windows? What about looking for someone to install a new exterior door? And what about a skylight, or a new glass shower enclosure, or even a glass railing system? It can be hard, if not near impossible, to just get a call back. We at Hartnagel Building Supply sympathize with just how difficult it can be to get fast and dependable glass services. It's why we created our newest division, Hartnagel Glassworks. With over 80 years of combined experience, our team is ready and excited to help you on your next project. Whether it's big or small, residential or commercial, installation or repair, we can pretty much handle anything related to glass. Contact us today at 360-417-8388 or at hbsglassworks.com. Angelus Millwork and Hartnagel Building Supply. Building homes, building community since 1906.
Did you know that you could rent all or part of Field Arts and Events Hall for your next meeting, conference, or celebration? Field Hall offers multiple flexible and beautiful event spaces suitable for groups from 20 to 500. Our experienced team of professionals will make hosting your dream event easy. Visit fieldhallevents.org/rentals to request your free quote today.
Hello, this is Clallam County PUD Commissioner Phyllis Bernard with good news. Did you know that when you flip the light switch, you get some of the nation's greenest energy, hydroelectric power generated by Bonneville Power Administration, distributed by your local PUD. And as green technology advances, we strive to keep the environment green and keep